Good evening to you, Angus. Perhaps let me begin by getting your sense of the decision that was announced today, that decision to hike interest rates by 100 basis points by the Bank of Ghana. Were you expecting it?
Yes, hello, good afternoon. I think we were slightly caught off guard by this. We were expecting the Bank of Ghana to maintain rates on hold, largely because, as you said earlier, inflation's remained stable. But when you look into the decision, details have yet to be published on the Bank of Ghana website, but when you look into the decision, why, I think there's a couple of key things that will stand out that probably made the Bank of Ghana decide to have this preemptory move to raise rates. One of them is the fiscal deficit. It remains relatively large at around 5% of GDP. This is an election year, so possibly there are some popular measures that the government could implement before the election in December. We saw that the minimum wage was raised earlier this month, so things like that have an inflationary impact. Also, the CD, it's weakened about 4% year to date. So in the last 6 weeks, we've lost quite a bit of value in the CD. That has an inflationary impact coming through on imported goods. So those two are the main reasons, I think, that the Bank of Ghana decided to raise rates. But also we've got real growth at around 8% forecast this year. That will have an inflationary impact just through the strong level of domestic demand.
Right. Now, of course, to grow, you need inflation, and I suppose the question then has to be asked about the balance or that you need to maintain to be able to achieve that. But maybe let's just go back slightly and talk about that decision to hike and where we are in the cycle of this current interest rate regime. Where do you think we stand?
Well, I think definitely we've now got into a tightening cycle. Obviously 100 basis points is quite a significant rise. Rates started to come down from, I think, mid-2009, and they fell up until this point today where they've started to go up. So given the outlook that the Bank of Ghana has, I would suspect that we've got a tightening cycle for the foreseeable future. They're taking preemptive measures to try and tackle what they see as a potential build-up in inflationary pressures from some of the global high commodity prices that still remain quite stubbornly high. Also this impact that comes through the channel of the weak CD. So I think, if anything, we now have changed our outlook. The tightening cycle has definitely begun. How long it will last, that's difficult to say, but I think for the short to the medium term, we can expect to see rates rise slightly and probably head towards 14.5% in months to come, depending on what is happening both in producer price inflation and the consumer price inflation.
What impact then do you see this having on the CD? I mean, if they do raise it, and we saw this play out in Kenya last year, with the Kenya Central Bank coming in and hiking rates very, very aggressively, and we saw an immediate impact on their currency. What kind of impact do you see this having on the CD?
Well, it should, according to theory, it should have a relatively strong positive impact on the CD. It should help support a larger level of inflows from foreign investors looking to buy into CD-denominated assets. So that's definitely something that should help strengthen the CD, and we'd be surprised if we didn't see some CD strengthening develop on the back of this interest rate rise. But I think when you look at what happened in Kenya, it was 1,100 basis point rise from early October into December. So a very strong rise that took place in a relatively short period of time. We're not going to see that in Ghana, I don't think. I think the monetary policy authorities in Ghana have got a much better handle on the situation in Ghana compared to what was happening in Kenya in the third and fourth quarter of last year. So I think, just in summary, we'd see some strengthening of the CD, nothing significant. After all, it's a 100 basis point rise. That's relatively strong, but in the context of what happened in Kenya, you know, it's about 10% of that.
Yeah. Now, it's an election year, as you pointed out, and we've got the central bank increasing rates. Now, we know it's always a sensitive matter when you've got the central bank, on the one hand, performing its duty as mandated either by the constitution or whatever law the country has in place. And at the same time, politicians are campaigning hard and trying to say to people, we'll make life easier for you. What does this say about the Bank of Ghana in terms of its independence from the government?
Well, I think its independence is enshrined through legislation, as is the case in many countries, and their main role, as is the role of most central banks, is to maintain price stability, create growth prospects in the economy, and also have some stability in financial markets. Now, it depends per country, what exactly its remit are. Does it have all three or just several of those? But in Ghana, the independence is that it has to maintain price stability. It does this through its inflation targeting monetary policy, and that is a relatively sophisticated way to conduct monetary policy when you compare it to other monetary authorities on the continent that generally have a quantitative target policy in place. So I think their independence, the strength of their inflation targeting regime, it suggests that they have got the ability to remain somewhat distant from what's happening in the political sphere. Of course, the Central Bank of Ghana, the Bank of Ghana, is part of the government in a larger sense of the term, although it has its independence. So yes, that is independent, but there is this ability of the authorities in general to try and sort of have some moral suasion over what the governor of the Bank of Ghana decides to do with regard to interest rates, for example. But I think given Governor Amisa Arthur is, in our opinion, extremely competent to carry out his job. We've got the greatest deal of respect for him and the decisions he makes. I think we don't foresee any change in the relationship, this independence that the Bank of Ghana has vis-a-vis the authorities.